What's up, Capricorn? Welcome into the channel. I hope you're doing well. So this is going to be your reading for the full moon in Leo. I am doing Sage for yours because I will say we've had a few rough readings and I have not saged in about a week. So hopefully your reading isn't rough. I will say Cancer and Scorpio were not too bad. They were along the same storyline. I think they matched. Pisces was rough. Taurus, I can't remember Taurus. Not too bad. Capricorn's was rough. So let's see what is going on for you for the full moon in Leo. So the full moon in Leo is about courage, it's about communication, and it is about being unapologetically you, okay? I want to know, how is this full moon going to affect your romantic life? What is going on for Virgo? What is going on for Virgo, please? We're going to make sure the deck is a little bit cleaned out. What's going on for Virgo? Full moon in Leo. Always remember to take what resonates and throw out what doesn't. If you find nothing resonates, check out your other sign placements. We all embody every sign of the zodiac. Doesn't matter if you have any planets in there or not. Okay. All right. What is up with a Virgo? Two of Swords. Crossing. Temperance. Root, Six of Wands. Recent past, Ace of Swords. Higher self is Wheel of Fortune. Near future, Sun. Current feelings, Eight of Cups. Outside influence. Outside feelings, Fool. Hopes and fears, Knight of Pentacles. Oh, somebody else had the Hermit in the, shoot, was that Taurus? Hermit is in the, outcome. I think that was Taurus. But Virgo, that's you. That's your power card. Interesting. All right. So you're currently, Two of Swords. You had a little bit of a crossroads there. Maybe there's a difficult choice and you're not sure what choice to make. Kind of going back and forth in your head. Crossing you is Temperance. You're struggling with harmony and balance. And this could be having going on. This has probably been going on for a while for you. Confirmation. Thank you, Spirit. So you've been struggling with a decision you've been at a crossroads and it's taken you a long time bouncing back and forth about how to maybe balance the situation, how to get some peace out of it. Okay. So the root of this situation is the Six of Wands. So this feels very much like whatever you're at a crossroads at, whatever decision it is that you're, bouncing back and forth with, you want to make sure you are successful in whatever the decision is that you need to make. So that's why it's taking you so long, because it's almost like you want to guarantee that there's going to be balance and there's going to be peace in the situation the decision that you make. Okay. And so the whole root of this going on for so long is you're like, I need to make a successful decision. You haven't made it, but you want it to be successful. Okay. So in the recent past, you have the Ace of Swords. Well, you ended up in your recent past you got a truth. Okay. It could be possibly a new idea. You could have gotten clear on a new idea, and that's why you're currently Two of Swords. Okay. And that's about, victory and triumph as well as so is the Six of Wands, right? Being successful. So this could all be based around a truth and a new idea on maybe how to balance with somebody. Your higher self is the Wheel of Fortune. Well, that's a new cycle. That's positive changes. That's the wheel turning in your favor. And it could be, your subconscious mind is, trying to tell you, hey, you can start a new cycle, right? Maybe that's what this new idea is, can I start something new? Can I get a new cycle going? And you're over here, I don't know. Maybe, is it going to be peaceful? I mean, am I going to be able to harmonize? And, it's just taken a long time. And that's because you really want to make sure the decision you make is successful, okay? It turns out in your favor. Well, in the near future, you've got the sun. There's happiness, joy, success, warmth. Okay. Well, main sign, Leo. We have the full moon in Leo, so you could have some Leo in your chart. You could be dealing with a Leo. You take that as it resonates. We've got Sagittarius energy and the full, we've got Aries energy. Okay. So your current feelings, okay, your thoughts and your feelings is the Eight of Cups. Well, you're letting go. You're ready to leave someone behind, a situation behind. Okay. The Eight of Cups is, while it's walking away, letting go, leaving something behind, emotionally checking out, it is also somebody, walking towards something more purposeful, right? So, you know, the Eight of Cups is, you can be satisfied with the Eight of Cups, but a lot of people, it's not enough. They would rather take a step forward towards, their spiritual journey, right? A higher purpose, something that's more meaningful. It's like that feeling of there's something more for me rather than where I'm at. Okay. So the outside, it's the others that are around you. It's, their thoughts and feelings of the people around you is the Fool. So this very much feels like whoever you're dealing with in a situation that you're letting go of, you're walking away from, well, it feels like they're having a new beginning. So it almost gives me this sense of the decision. So where you're currently stuck at a crossroads and taking so much time to make maybe the decision to actually walk away, emotionally check out, is actually going to be easier for you, knowing that whoever's on the outside is, feeling free, right? They're ready to start their own journey. And so it could be whoever you're dealing with is, maybe you were worried, is this going to be peaceful? Like, you near future, it looks like there's happiness for you. Maybe it took you a while because you thought whoever you were connected to, are they going to be okay? Is this going to be rocky? Is it going to cause a lot of fights? Are they going to be able to step out and do their own thing, right? And I think that's going to make you feel better, knowing that they're having their new beginning, right? It's allowing them to step out and be the Fool themselves. Aries energy. So the hopes and fears, you have the Knight of Pentacles. So it's almost like you're afraid that it might take a long time for, I guess, maybe you to find yourself committed into a relationship. Okay. It's like, how long is this going to take? Well, the Knight of Pentacles is not a fast energy. It's slow, it's steady, it's committed, it's patient, but it's conservative, right? It's being practical. And so as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to walk towards a new life, but one step at a time. The outcome, there's your power card. That's the Hermit. That is you. I feel you'll be getting enlightenment and learning that being in solitude is much happier than being out of balance, right? So you may have been very much out of balance with someone in your life, and you were at a crossroads of, I'm coming out of this. Am I going to find peace and harmony? Well, Spirit says yes. You've got the Sun, right? You've got the happy card of the deck. it seems like, you're leaving an old life behind. And as you go through this scenario, you end up gaining enlightenment about this whole situation, right? It's almost a relief. I think you're more caught in your head about a situation than the actual situation itself, because it clearly looks like there is happiness, success, positive changes. Being able to walk away and let go of a situation while whoever you're letting go of is kind of starting their new journey. And it allows you to start your new journey. Now, again, I think you're worried about it moving too slow. But if you're coming out of a situation, you do want to take your time. You do want to be the hermit. That's your power card. You are going to want to take your time and be in solitude and not jump into anything. So this is very overall positive. It doesn't look like you're making any sudden moves too quickly. So let's start clarifying here. Let's go to the Two of Swords. Two of Swords, please. Why are we at the crossroads? Five of Pentacles. The Knight of Swords. The High Priestess. Pisces energy. So you're currently at a stalemate crossroads because, you were afraid that if you left out too quickly, it's like your subconscious mind was trying to tell you, if you left out too quickly, you would be leaving somebody, high and dry, right? Five of Pentacles is being left out in the cold, being left. And I think you were worried that you didn't want to have to move too quickly. Your subconscious mind didn't want to leave somebody high and dry in this situation. And that's what you were worried about. And that's why Temperance was the challenge, because you're like, how can I do this peacefully and and harmonize, right? So it's not, putting somebody out. And that's why you took so long making the decision. Because you were afraid that if you rushed in and said this too soon, it would, either cause, you to be left out. Maybe you were living with somebody in this situation and you didn't want to, be asked to leave a house or an apartment or a living situation too soon. So your higher self was like, well, wait a minute, let's take our time. Let's think about this. Let's make sure that no matter which way we do this or how we say this or how we go about this, we do it carefully, right? We don't want to, the Knight of Swords can rush in and maybe speak too soon and then cause a disruption in possibly, a living situation. Well, I can tell you, it looks like it's going to be very positive for you and whoever this situation is about. So let's go over to the Ace of Swords. What did we learn in the recent past? Or what was this new idea? Or what did we learn? Seven of Cups. Six of Cups. Ace of Wands. Page of Swords. I think you found out after maybe you may have found something, you may have seen something. Page of Swords is a watchful eye, and I feel like you saw something related to the past with the Ace of Wands, that maybe who you were connected to had a lot of options and there was a lot of confusion. And so it was almost like they don't know what they want either, or maybe this is you. Maybe you didn't know. But there was somebody who just had noticed something. Okay, and it was related to the past. All right, so maybe in the past you found out that there was somebody you were with that had some intimate feelings for others. They had other options available to them. Okay, and this is somebody you've known for a long time. So you could be living with them. I don't know what that situation is, but that's what you learned. And so you were trying to be very careful and strategic to make sure, somebody wasn't left out in the cold. You weren't left out in the cold. They weren't, so you decided to listen to your higher self and slow down and just kind of think about this before saying anything too soon, and approaching it in a balanced manner. Good for you. Because if that was me, well, I can tell you in the past, I wouldn't go in peaceful and calm. I mean, the walls would come tumbling down if that was me. Now that I've been on my healing journey, I think I would approach it differently. Probably a little bit more like you. But I can tell you in the past, I wouldn't have done that. So this alone tells me that you've done some growing and some healing. And you've done some learning. So whether you know that or not, you are definitely wiser. So you might be somebody that's a little older, who's maybe been through situations like this before, and you've learned from them in the past, and now you know to take a step back and think about things before rushing in after you find out, a truth that might be uncomfortable or something you didn't expect to hear. Okay. And it tells me, because of the way you're handling this with the sun in the near future, that's why you're going to have happiness. Okay, so let's go to this sun. Tell me about the happiness here. Tell me about this sun. Queen of Pentacles. Uh-oh. Three of Pentacles. Queen of Wands. Okay, so whether you're masculine or feminine, it doesn't matter, okay? So you place genders as it fits, okay? But in the near future with the sun, you have a choice. You have a choice between a Queen of Pentacles or a Queen of Wands. Somebody who's, you know, very attractive. They're very determined. They have a long-term vision. The Queen of Pentacles is the all-around, you know, good at business. They're loving. They're generous. You know, they're kind of the all-around. And both of them are queens. You have a choice to build a foundation to start something. So you're going to have a choice between, now whether it's masculine or feminine, you take that as resonates. Both of these queens can be masculine. But you, my friend, you have a choice to be able to start a foundation with one of two people. Dang. So whoever you dealt with that was confused that you were having a tough decision about moving too quickly away has given you an option of two. But your current feelings is letting go, leaving behind. So you know you can't have both of them. So fire sign and earth sign doesn't have to be, but you know, you could be dealing with another Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, or Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. It doesn't have to be. So what's the Eight of Cups? What's this Eight of Cups? Walking away, letting go. And that's your current feelings. You know you need to let go. So do you need to let go of one of these two? What's the Eight of Cups here? Whoop, whoop. We got the Knight of Pentacles. Ooh. There's that slow. Slow and steady. Taking our time. Justice. Boy, you are a careful creature, aren't you? Very careful. The World. So that was another reading. Okay. You're slowly closing out a cycle, right? With feel like you're slowly closing out a cycle. One of these two, you may have, so there still might be some legal stuff that you're wrapping up, is what it feels like. So it's a slow process. And I feel like it's one of these two. But with the sun here and being able to have the ability to start and have that basic foundation, I feel like this is one of the queens that you know you need to leave out in the cold. But you're taking your time again. And remember, your hopes and fears was, well, am I moving too slow towards another commitment, right? And like I said, you're putting one foot in front of the other. You just want to make sure you're doing it correctly. So one of them you're walking away from, one of them you're walking towards. However, at the end of the day, you know, I don't know which one it is, but you know you need to not rush, do things correctly, right? Especially if there's any kind of legalities with one of these two. You want to make sure it's done correctly. You want to close the cycle out correctly before you open a new door with somebody else. So it almost makes me feel like with the sun here and the two is you have the choice to stay with one, but I don't think you really are. I think the happiness is coming from finally closing out the chapter with one so you can open up the door and begin a chapter with another person, right? Because the Three of Pentacles is three people. So it's kind of like it's three energies. And I feel like you're still dealing with one of these energies of the letting go process and cleaning up the legalities and the paperwork. And you're being careful about it because you don't want to, leave somebody out in the cold. You don't want to make any moves that are too quick. You're, like I said, you're a careful creature. You're doing things very carefully. You don't want to leave the person that you're walking away from high and dry. I think you're doing the right thing. You're being a stand-up person, whether you're masculine or feminine, it doesn't matter. Before you open the door and have a new cycle with somebody else. So you're doing it very, very carefully. Okay. And the whole root of this is overall, being successful without ticking anybody off, making sure everybody's taken care of properly, not leaving somebody high and dry, leaving somebody out in the cold. And, you're listening to your subconscious mind. You want to be very careful. You want to be peaceful, right? You don't want there to be any fighting. And this is a very mature way to do it. And I think you're handling it very well. So tell me about the Hermit for the outcome. It feels like even though you're walking away or you're ending something, I feel like at the end of this whole process, I feel like everything is going to turn out just like you want. I don't know why, and it just because of the way you're moving, right? You're not being a jerk to anybody, whether you're masculine or feminine, it doesn't matter. It just feels like you're doing everything the right way. And I just feel like it is going to be successful for you, even though that's what you're worried about. You're worried about, am I doing things correctly? You are, and I think it is going to be successful. Tell me about this Hermit. There's the Ace of Swords. Wow, Ace of Pentacles. That's a new beginning. It'll be clear to you that you'll be able to have a new opportunity. You're taking your time. You're doing it right. You're not rushing, right? You're putting one foot in front of the other. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, you know, making sure everybody's happy. There's no fighting. It's peaceful. It's harmonized, right? You're setting whoever you're walking away from, you're setting them up so they can have a proper new beginning. And the way you're handling this is allowing you in the future to be, to having you're getting wise, right? And it's going to be so clear that you'll be able to have that new beginning with the world. You're not slamming a door shut. You're just quietly, peacefully closing that door, making sure everybody's taken care of. And then you're going to step forward, and then you're going to open that door to your new beginning that you want. This was peaceful. Wow. This was peaceful. I have chills. I love the way you've handled this. Or we're on different timelines. If you started this process, if this is how you are continuing to do this process, it's very peaceful. It's being done very correctly. I can tell you that. I'm talking to a very wise Virgo. And, you know, Virgo is the hermit that walks around with the light, shining the light, you know, getting enlightenment, sharing enlightenment. I love it. Any final thoughts on this one? Any final messages that Virgo needs to know? Romantic feelings. There's the surrender. It is the exact same picture as the Fool. Look at that. So it's the Fool card in this oracle deck. Look at that. It is a match. So while the person that's going to be on the outside of this, you're setting them up so they can have freedom. You're going to have freedom for your romantic feelings, for who you're choosing. Storm warning. So the storm warning is a lot like you already prepared yourself because you were worried. That there was going to be conflict. So you prepared yourself. You're allowing yourself to have a new beginning, like you are the person you're letting go of, right? So they can start their own romantic path with somebody new, and you can as well, okay? It's like you already prepared for that possible storm. You're the type of person that isn't going to drive through the storm like most people would. You're carefully, much like planes, right? Sometimes they'll go a different route. They'll have to circle around an airport because there's bad weather. They know they can't land yet you carefully went through this process, and it feels simply like everybody here is a mature adult. Obviously, there's no feelings for one of these people that you're closing the cycle out with, but there is somebody that you do have feelings for. And it just feels like everybody's a mature, an adult. And it just sounds like you've fallen, sometimes we grow apart from people that we've been with. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be arguing and fighting, and you were worried about that, but it didn't have to be like that, and you avoided that storm. You got ahead of it. You went around it, and you were careful. And it seems that whoever you're letting go of, my ears ringing high pitch, that's positive. This whole reading is very positive. The whole situation is positive. But you're allowing one person to let them go, because it does feel like there was something in the past where maybe they had some options. And I think by you finding that out made you realize, I'm not so sure I have feelings for this person. And I think it's just two people that woke up and realized, you're not my person. You're not my person. And then it was, okay, cool. We realize we're not each other's person. So let's do what we need to do so one can move on their new journey while you do. Which I think is so cool to see that kind of reading. Because normally it's a lot of fighting and bickering and, I'm holding on to you because of the money, or I want the house, and, I want the dog, and, all that stuff. Just two people who just drifted apart. They woke up and realized we ran our course. We learned what we needed to learn. And we've learned from the relationship. And now we can peacefully move on and have our own lives. And you were worried at one point that it wasn't going to be like that. But you did everything correctly. Let's get you an angel number. Manifest your dreams. 4, 5, 6. See, remember I said you were taking all the right steps? 4, 5, 6, right? It's a step, like I said, slow step, one foot in the other, one foot in front of the other, is what you were doing. You were taking each step one by one, doing it correctly, not rushing, right? Even though you were worried about that, you're not. You're doing it perfectly fine. You have the power to make things happen. It is time for you to take action with faith and confidence, knowing that your angels are guiding and supporting you every step of the way. So you're manifesting all your dreams. You're putting one foot in front of the other. You're doing it correctly. And the universe is like, you're going to have happiness. You avoided all this storm that, if more people did it this way, things would be so much more peaceful. You were worried that there wasn't going to be peace, but I think you're realizing that because in the past you found out that they had options and passion for somebody else, and it could have been somebody from their past. because of something you saw. You may have spied on them or whatever that may have been. It just suddenly made you wake up and realize, this isn't my person. There's somebody else for me, and it looks like that person is around you and you know about this person, but you're just taking 4, 5, 6. You're doing the steps to separate, be peaceful, and everybody go on their merry way. You find yourself having romantic feelings and you have your new beginning. It's just a little slow, and that's okay. You know, slow isn't bad as long as you're still putting one foot in front of the other. It's the ones that rush in who come in and make chaos of everything. And when you do that, you're asking for trouble. You didn't do that, my friend. This was beautiful reading. I am so happy because the last few readings have been a little rough. I'm not going to lie. So, Virgo, congratulations. Like, you know, something didn't work out, but you have something coming in that is, and you're going to be able to build a happy foundation with somebody that is your person. So congratulations. I hope this was helpful. Hit the like button if it resonates. Drop a comment if you feel comfortable. Subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.